Recently, the press has been consumed with headlines about the stock market. Now, the only way for you to not know it is if you were cast away on a deserted island somewhere. Because if there was any media in your life, TV, radio, or the internet, the news from Wall Street was inescapable. But how trustworthy is this news? Remember Uncle Walter?
And that's the way it is. Friday, March 6, 1981.
For years, he was known as the most trusted man in America, anchoring the CBS Evening News. For a half hour each night, Americans watched as Walter Cronkite reported on some of the most tragic events in U.S. history. His warm, sincere manner helped us believe that everything would be all right. There's a stark contrast between newscasts of the past and those we watch today. So what happened? Now, one of the biggest problems with news these days is its incessant nature. Now, shortly before Walter's retirement, CNN was launched. It offered 24 hours of news coverage. So now, instead of picking the top stories that could be covered in a half an hour, networks are forced to come up with 24 hours of content. Now, when there isn't enough news to cover during that time frame, stories get repeated over and over and over again. So what happens when the market goes up or down? Well, all the major 24-hour networks, including MSNBC, CNBC, Fox, have joined CNN in the all news, all the time model. Now, in the long run, stock prices are driven by the health of the economy and individual companies. It's also driven by the conflicting emotions of fear and greed. Now, when investors are hammered with negative headlines 24/7, there's a danger that the media will exacerbate normal highs and lows, thus making the news instead of just reporting on it. The second problem is the fact that this 24-hour news cycle forces desperate media outlets to sensationalize the news. The result is a sad decline of journalistic standards. Media providers emphasize personality and the entertainment value of their stars to bring eyeballs and advertising dollars to their content. Now, this can have a devastating impact on investors. This happened in March of 2009, just a few weeks before the market bottomed out, when The Daily Show took on CNBC in general, and Jim Cramer in particular, for his enthusiastic recommendation of Bear Stearns stock.
Should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. If there's one takeaway other than a plus 400 somebody, Bear Stearns is not in trouble.
Oh. Okay. I was wrong. Actually, it's true. He wasn't saying to buy Bear Stearns. He was simply saying that if Bear was your broker or that your money was at Bear, your money would not disappear. He was not addressing the value of holding Bear stock. So, Jim Cramer, I apologize. That was out of context. Technically, you were correct. You weren't suggesting to buy Bear Stearns. That was something that you did 5 days earlier in your buy or sell segment.
I believe in the Bear franchise. You know what? It's $69. I'm not giving up on the thing.
Yeah! Of course, while Cramer wasn't giving up on Bear at 69, 11 days later, the stock market was more comfortable with it at 2.
This brings us to the third issue, the media's lack of fiduciary duty. Now, the Investment Advisor Act of 1940 sets licensing standards for those individuals who deliver investment advice. Those of us who are bound by that law must act in the best interests of our clients. Well, what about the press? Well, there's a big fat exemption in the law for the media. There are no consequences for giving bad investment advice. Kramer is still on the air, and he can say anything he wants without legal repercussions. And finally, remember to follow the money. How does the media that you are taking advice from get paid? Now, most media outlets live or die by advertising revenues, funded in large part by the people that they are supposedly reporting on. They are unlikely to bite the hand that feeds them. So the next time you pick up an issue of Money Magazine, be sure and pay careful attention to the ads, and then look at the 50 best mutual funds that they're recommending. Any similarities? Now, the Founding Fathers of America wisely enacted the First Amendment, freedom of the press, as an important safeguard to our democracy. As Americans, however, we don't have to believe every word out of that press. Now, in absorbing financial media, be sure to insert a healthy dose of skepticism. Mix that in with an equal measure of remembering your financial goals and knowing your risk tolerance, and combine that with a great financial team, which includes a fiduciary who has a moral and legal duty to put your needs and best interests first. If you would like to discuss your personal situation, please give me a call at 480-503-0050.
This has been a Loki production.